In 1972, the federal government of the United States of America passed an important piece of legislation called Title IX. The core of it reads as follows: no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Initially, Title IX's focus was on the access for women to programs and majors within the field of higher education. The roots of this program come with three different individuals, at least three. The first of them, Representative Patsy Mink from Hawaii, also the United States' first woman of color to serve in Congress. During the Second World War, she had applied to multiple medical schools and was rejected from all of them. When she read her comments on those rejections, she realized that it was not about her qualifications, but rather her gender. She instead decided to apply to law schools, and on those law school applications used her initials. And based on her initials and her credentials, she was accepted and became a lawyer. Joining Patsy Mink in this effort was Representative Edith Green from the state of Illinois. Edith Green also wanted to become a lawyer. Instead, she decided to pursue a path of becoming a teacher, in part because she was dissuaded on the basis of her gender. Joining these two women was Senator Birch Bayh from Indiana, who was inspired, at least in part, by his wife, who reminded him that not fully developing the potential of 50% of the people in the United States seemed to potentially mean the United States was not fully developed. In the 1970s, prior to Title IX, in terms of collegiate athletics, there were fewer than 30,000 women who were competing at the collegiate level. They made up about 15% of all NCAA student athletes, and they were allocated 2% of collegiate athletic budgets. On average, colleges had just 2.5 women's teams. The 1972 Olympic team had 338 men and 90 women. In terms of high school athletics in 1971, before Title IX, just 1 in 27 girls played a varsity sport in high school. Now, what has happened in the 50 years since then? And please understand, in this very brief presentation, I cannot cover all the ins and the outs. But the fight was real, and ground was sometimes lost, only then to be regained again. It wasn't until 1981-82 the NCAA instituted women's championships. Within a decade, Muskingum's own Donna Newberry would take her women's basketball team to Minnesota to compete in the national championship game. In 2004, the average number of women's teams had increased from that 2.5 on average per institution to a little over 8 per institution. And as you can see from this chart, the number of female athletes participating in NCAA sports has exploded. This is the chart and the numbers as of 2020. The number of girls in high schools participating in varsity sports has increased by almost 1,000%. Now, 40% of girls play a sport in high school. There is still, however, work to be done. A U.S. Department of Ed report in 2019 stated that 87% of NCAA schools, quote, offered disproportionately higher rates of athletic opportunities to male athletes compared to their enrollment. Female students at Division I institutions make up 53% of the student body, but Division I athletic department budgets allocate just 36% of their budgets to women's sports. We've also seen an erosion in terms of who is leading these women's teams. Female head coaches in 1981, 55% of women's teams, and in 2016 that had dropped to just 2 out of every 5. In terms of next steps, obviously there is still work that is to be done. The NCAA Gender Equity Task Force statement, all the way back in 1997, said, An athletic program is gender equitable when the men's sports program would be pleased to accept for its own the overall participation, opportunities, and resources currently allocated to the women's program and vice versa. I make this video in honor of National Women and Girls in Sports Day on the 50th anniversary of Title IX. And for those who are seeking more resources, here is a slide for you. Thank you.